The bulldozer idled in my backyard before I'd even had coffee. Karen smiling like she already won. She'd forged a new property line, claimed my daughter's swing set sat on HOA common ground, and called it eminent domain. I'm Daniel Reyes, single father, contractor. Built this house with my own hands after my wife passed 3 years ago. Karen Whitfield ran our HOA like a kingdom, fining neighbors for wind chimes, mailbox colors, even grass blade height. She'd tried controlling my fence stain color twice before, but I always complied just to avoid her wrath. Rumors floated that Karen quietly bought up disputed lots from older, confused neighbors for pennies on the dollar. I never paid attention until the day her surveyor accidentally redrew my property line straight through my garage. Karen knocked, all smiles, holding a clipboard, saying the HOA discovered an old easement claiming 10 feet of my yard. I laughed, thinking it was a joke, until she slapped a cease and desist notice against my kid's swing set. Legal is legal, Daniel, she said sweetly. The board already voted. You're just the last to know. I called the county recorder's office, and the clerk sounded confused. No such easement existed in their files. That night, Karen posted in the neighborhood group chat that I was harassing the board over routine business. Neighbors I'd known for years suddenly avoided eye contact, afraid of becoming Karen's next disciplinary target. A moving truck test parked in my driveway, hired by Karen's nephew, staking little orange flags across my lawn. I confronted her at the mailbox. She just smiled and said, "Fighting the HOA never ends well for anyone." I hired my own surveyor, who found the original deed lines matched exactly what I'd always believed. Karen's response was swift, a $500 fine for unauthorized construction disruption, though I'd built nothing new. She scheduled an emergency board meeting, packing the room with people who owed her personal favors. At the meeting, Karen presented a laminated map, insisting her survey overruled mine because hers was certified. I asked who certified it, and she stumbled, mumbling her cousin's engineering firm handled it as a courtesy. The board, intimidated, voted to uphold her claim, giving me 30 days to remove the swing set. That night my daughter cried, asking why Mrs. Whitfield wanted to take her favorite spot in the whole yard. Couldn't sleep, replaying every friendly wave I'd given Karen, wondering how I'd missed this coming. I started digging through county archives myself, searching land records dating back before the neighborhood even existed. An old plat map from 1987 showed my lot boundary clearly, untouched. Nothing like Karen's new version. I brought it to the HOA office, but the secretary said Karen had temporarily removed old files for review. Convenient, I thought. That the one document proving me right had suddenly gone missing from the cabinet. Karen sent a formal letter threatening a lien on my house if I didn't comply within the week. I finally admitted this wasn't about a fence line anymore. This was Karen trying to steal my land. For a few days, things went quiet. Karen even waved pleasantly, like nothing between us had happened. I almost let my guard down, thinking maybe cooler heads on the board had talked her out of it. My neighbor Pete quietly texted me, warning that Karen had done this exact thing to the Nguyen's 2 years ago. The Nguyen's, I learned, had simply moved away rather than fight her. She'd counted on the same from me. I called the Nguyen's, and Mrs. Nguyen answered in tears, still furious about the 10 feet Karen stole. She agreed to testify, saying she'd kept every letter, every fake easement notice Karen had ever sent her. Armed with evidence, I hired a real estate attorney, Maria Chin, who specialized in HOA property disputes. Maria discovered Karen's certified surveyor cousin didn't hold an active license in our state at all. She also found Karen personally profited, reselling reclaimed HOA land slivers to her son's construction company. My stomach turned. Karen wasn't confused or overzealous. She was systematically stealing land, lot by lot. Maria filed a formal complaint and requested the county pull every survey Karen's cousin had ever filed. Karen must have sensed the walls closing in, because she suddenly escalated with a lawsuit against me. She accused me of illegal encroachment and demanded I pay for damages to disputed HOA property. Served papers in front of my daughter's school. Karen made sure the whole pickup line watched me flinch. That humiliation lit a fire in me. I stopped hiding and started posting the real 1987 plat map online. Other neighbors, emboldened, began sharing their own stories of Karen's quiet land grabs over the years. A local news reporter caught wind of the pattern and reached out, asking if I'd go on camera. Karen tried damage control, calling an emergency meeting to clarify misunderstandings before the story could air. Almost no one showed up. Most neighbors had already decided whose side truth was actually on. Karen's own husband, mortified by the news crew outside their house, reportedly moved into a hotel that week. The court finally set a trial date, and Maria told me the evidence against Karen was overwhelming. The night before trial, Karen left a voicemail offering to drop everything if I'd just stay quiet. I didn't call back. Too many neighbors like the Nguins had already lost their land to her silence. I barely slept, rehearsing testimony, terrified some technicality could still let Karen walk away clean. Maria warned me Karen had hired an aggressive attorney known for burying small homeowners in paperwork. My daughter asked if we were going to lose the swing set, and I promised her we wouldn't. Mrs. Nguyen called, saying 2 more former neighbors had come forward with their own Karen horror stories. By morning, 5 separate families stood ready to testify against Karen's decade of quiet property fraud. I walked into the courthouse steadier than I expected, surrounded by neighbors who finally weren't afraid anymore. Karen arrived polished and composed, flanked by her lawyer, acting as though this were beneath her. The judge opened by asking Karen's surveyor cousin to present his license. He had none to show. Karen's face flickered, just for a second, before she plastered on that same practiced HOA smile. Maria presented the original 1987 plat map alongside Karen's forged version, the differences glaringly obvious. Mrs. Nguyen took the stand, describing exactly how Karen pressured her family off their own land. Then 4 more neighbors testified, each describing eerily identical letters, threats, and certified surveys. The county recorder testified that Karen had personally requested the removal of the original 1987 records. Karen's attorney objected repeatedly, but the pattern of fraud was too consistent to dismiss as coincidence. Then Maria revealed bank records showing Karen's son's company paid her directly for each reclaimed parcel. The courtroom went silent as the judge asked Karen to explain the payments. She had no answer. Karen's lawyer whispered urgently to her, but she just stared blankly at the evidence spread before her. The judge ruled the original property lines stood, voiding every fraudulent survey Karen had ever filed. Then came the real blow. Criminal fraud charges referred to the district attorney for further investigation. Karen, who always had a scripted answer, sat completely speechless, her clipboard empire crumbling in real time. For the first time in years, the woman who fined neighbors for chalk on driveways had nothing to say. The HOA board removed Karen from her presidency within the week, citing irreparable breach of community trust. Mrs. Nguyen and 3 other families filed civil suits, finally reclaiming land Karen had stolen years earlier. My daughter's swing set still stands exactly where it always did, and Karen never set foot on our street again.